Fun podcast, the show that talks about entertainment, sports, music, and inspirational stories for all to enjoy. We're glad that you could join us today. Please sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Now, here is your host, Albert Pineda.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Casting for Fun podcast. I am your host, Albert Pineda. This is for Tuesday, May the 9th. This is episode 70 of the podcast. I'm really excited that I'm at episode 70 and just getting closer and closer to episode 100. Not that I have anything planned for the 100th episode, but I'm excited that I've been able to keep this hobby going for as long as I have, and I'm planning to keep it going on for much longer. So this is going to be really great. Okay, so for episode 70 of the show, I've invited Kimmy and Nathan Cross to return to the show to discuss Wednesday from Netflix. It was interesting to learn that the Crosses are a huge fan of the Addams Family franchise, have loved the two live action movies, and we discussed the show extensively. It's really fun and great to talk about how cool the show was, how entertaining and fun it was to watch. So I'm really excited that I get to have Kimmy and Nathan back on the show to talk about it. And whenever they're on, there's always new listeners catching it. People who maybe don't listen to some of the other episodes I do, but came on specifically to hear Nathan and Kimmy. So thanks for listening. Even if you're only here just to hear Kimmy and Nathan, I'm really excited. Here we go. This is my conversation with the Crosses about the hit Netflix show Wednesday. Returning to the Casting for Fun podcast are two wonderful special guests who have been on the show several times before, and the streaming download numbers always do well when they're on. So thank you both for promoting the episode. I mean, I'm sure you have tons of friends who love hearing you talk. It's Kimmy and Nathan Cross. Kimmy and Nathan, how are you both?
Doing good.
Doing great, thanks.
Good to be back.
Good to see you both, and I hope everything's going well with your family.
Yeah,
doing awesome.
Yeah, we're doing good.
Oh, good to hear. Good to hear.
It's finally getting warm here in Utah. So.
Oh, that's always good to hear.
Yeah.
But yeah. So it's how do I want to say? I mean, we're kind of late to the party as far as like Wednesday goes. But I mean, sometimes with the Netflix shows, you never know, because I guess it's a lot of it's word of mouth, like we talked about with Stranger Things. And I think timing also kind of just played a factor too. But I'm glad that we get to talk about Wednesday finally.
Oh yeah, same here. Yeah, we loved this show, but it's been like, when did it come out? Was it November last
I think
year?
November of last year, and then Allison, I didn't actually get around to watching it until maybe January, so it had already been out for like a few months.
Yeah. I think a lot of people do that. That's the beauty of having streaming services. You can just watch it whenever.
Yeah, so. Exactly, and then binge it, just watch all the way through if you like. So
yeah.
So before we get to Wednesday, though, I mean, because I've kind of unofficially declared it Star Wars month on my show for the whole month of May, I wanted to just get your general feelings, impressions about Star Wars, like what you enjoy, assuming that you do. I guess it's wrong of me just to automatically assume everybody loves Star Wars, but the Disney Plus shows, if you guys have had a chance to see The Galaxy's Edge at Disneyland, anything along those lines.
We are definitely Star Wars fans. We both grew up in Star Wars families, and I think our Star Wars fandom has only grown since we've been married to each other.
I introduced him to the Clone Wars series.
Oh, very cool.
We're big fans of that, and
we watched the Obi-Wan Kenobi show not too long ago and enjoyed that quite a bit. I've even watched like Star Wars Visions, and
he plays all the games too.
Very cool.
I'm excited for Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I'm going to be playing that one eventually.
Yeah. Awesome.
We need PS5, huh?
We do.
Oh yeah.
We do. Eventually.
Very good. So I've asked actually this general question with people because of like the huge like reaction that the fandom got from Star Wars when they were able to do a deep fake for Mark Hamill for The Mandalorian season 2 and for the Book of Boba Fett. Do you guys like how it turned out? Do you like the idea of bringing back a younger Mark Hamill to guys fill in the gaps for that time frame of Star Wars and the deepfake technology in general? Do you guys kind of like that as far as moving forward with Hollywood?
Okay, you can never go wrong by adding Mark Hamill into any equation, right?
Yeah.
So that isn't where the issue lies, because yes, please give us more Mark Hamill, please. But the deepfake was a little still you could tell. You can tell, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's in the eyes. Like the human eyes are so difficult to animate realistically to
Mm-hmm.
make them look like they have the emotion and the life behind them. And that young Luke just kind of looked he didn't emote very much at all. And you could just
Probably
tell.
to make the deep fake easier to render, which was super unfortunate because it's like Mark Hamill's a fantastic actor. Let the man act, you know?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, but the deep fake technology, I mean, when you look at like the Indiana Jones trailer, that's nuts to me. And
Yeah.
it's come so far so quick. And of course, the more information you can put into the machine to get the right images out of it at the end certainly helps. So you have all of Harrison Ford's young career to pump into that for Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Mark Hamill, it really was just Star Wars
That's
for the
true.
most part.
Yeah.
So there wasn't probably as much. So with it getting better and better and better, I'm a little less opposed to it just because we're going to get better results, better acting, better emotion, better
Yeah.
life behind the eyes, which I
Yeah.
completely agree. It's like dead eye, non-emoting,
Yeah.
kind of strange.
Yeah.
Definitely uncanny valley stuff. As far as bringing people back, I don't know. I'm a little on the fence about it. Like it was kind of like a touching moment to see, for example, in Rogue One, Carrie Fisher, young Carrie
Oh
Fisher.
yeah.
Like
Mm-hmm.
that was kind of a cool little moment, even though it was very brief and it felt a little weird when you go back and look at it for that second or third time. But I don't know. It's kind of an interesting thing, the idea of like, for example, like if they were trying to bring back Grand Moff Tarkin, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and he's been gone for a long time,
Well, they did bring him
but they
back.
brought him back,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know.
It was
Yeah, it's just that kind of stuff, bringing people back from like the dead. I don't know. That's kind of weird to me.
For storytelling purposes, I think it's cool, and I think that they should keep developing it and keep the more that we see it, the better it's going to get.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it could eventually become something really cool. But
Yeah. As long as the ethics behind it are as sound as they could possibly be, like, hey, we reached out to the estate of so and so who's already passed on, and they said that they're okay with them doing this,
well, yeah, of course.
and they actually did that, and they did a really good job of it in Ghostbusters Afterlife when they brought back Egon,
Oh yeah.
and they actually used his son
Oh,
as a stand-in,
I didn't know that.
and it's really
Oh,
cool.
that's cool.
It's actually it was really emotional for me. I don't know. It was
Wow.
great. So it can be done. It can be done well. It just needs to be done the right way, right?
Yeah.
Technologically and ethically, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I totally agree. In fact, I mean, it's an interesting point you brought up, Nathan, to have both in mind because, I mean, as the technology grows, I mean, it gets to the point where Hollywood could digitally recreate anybody. And then if they're not using ethics, I mean, they could just do whatever they want, which can
Yeah,
maybe
I
be a
really
kind of a scary prospect if you think about it. So just
Yeah.
making sure that, yes, we are being ethical, we are getting proper permission. I think it's a fantastic thing to see the technology move forward.
we're getting to the point where AI can deep fake people's voices, and we can probably de-age people's voices and stuff like that. So
It's crazy.
it's a very strange world we live in.
Yeah, very strange world, but really exciting, cool too. So
Yeah, for continuity and for Star Wars, which is like constantly just filling in gaps with stories in the timeline now. Yeah, I can definitely see how it can definitely be a benefit.
Yeah.
very good. Anything else with Star Wars that you guys want to discuss, or are we ready to jump into Wednesday?
Honestly, we're still wrapping up Mandalorian, so we probably don't have a whole lot to
Yeah, we took that one took a back seat to other things that came up, but
yeah, things
um,
things been kind of crazy lately.
it's been busy.
Yeah.
But
On
yeah.
Andor, I still he's watched some of it.
I
still haven't seen
I
Andor.
started Andor and I got to the point where it's like, this is really good. Kimmy needs to watch this. I need to stop. Or I'm gonna spoil everything.
Yeah.
So I stopped. But yeah, we need to watch Andor. So it's a wonderful time to be a Star Wars fan, right? Because
Oh,
there's
yeah.
so much content now,
Yeah.
and so much of it is so good. Even the episodes of like the Bad Batch, like we're completely caught up
Oh,
on
the
that.
Bad Batch.
Even episodes of that, they're like,
So good.
you know what's gonna happen. It's kind of predictable. Even those ones are still fun.
They're so much fun. Yeah.
And that's probably one of the best things to say about Star Wars is it's just fun.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a fun time to be a Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. One thing I really really love is just how accessible it is. So I mean, when I think back to Star Wars, like my family, we had really poor qualities taped from TV. Where like this is a scene from A New Hope when Obi-Wan's explaining to Luke like what happened to his father, who that he was murdered and betrayed by Darth Vader. On our copy of it, it just goes to blue, so you just hear audio, but it's just like a really poor quality. That was the best we could get. But I mean, today you can access Star Wars from any device you want as long as you have the internet. So it's actually pretty cool that it is as accessible as you mentioned, Nathan, that we can just throw it on whenever we want to, and there's so much content to take in. Some of it may be better than others, true. I mean, that's a discussion for another day as far as like maybe the sequel trilogy goes. But for the most part, I think Disney Star Wars has produced some really good stuff, particularly with the shows. So
yeah,
agreed.
Yeah, and they gave us Dave Filoni.
Yeah.
Absolutely
grateful for him.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Let's go ahead and jump into some Wednesday talk now. So yeah, as I mentioned at the top of the show, a little late to the party, but Wednesday I actually thought was really entertaining and fun. And I'm not really necessarily a huge like Addams Family fan, even though I did enjoy the live action movies with Raul Julia and Angelica Houston back in the 90s. But what were your thoughts when you heard that there was going to be a Wednesday show? Was that something that was on your radar, or were you kind of like persuaded to watch it?
I was really excited because I grew up being a huge Addams Family fan. My family would watch the movies with Raul Julia and Angelica Houston all the time. and we quote it all the time, and we are just big fans. And so hearing that we were going to be getting some new content was really exciting to me. And of course, I was a little apprehensive because you care so much about it. I cared so much about it, and I didn't want them to ruin it or anything. But yeah, I was excited.
And I grew up with the Addams Family movies from the 90s as well, and enjoyed them. And we watched them a lot. My brother in particular really enjoyed the Addams Family quite a bit. And so I was excited. But then I was a little apprehensive because it was like, it's Tim Burton. And I was like,
oh yeah, that was why we were
I have very much like a love disappointment relationship with Tim Burton, where Big Fish, one of my favorite movies. It's not like the greatest movie of all time, but I could sit and watch that movie over and over and over and over. I love that movie. Tim Burton.
But the argument could be made that that was his last good project.
Yes.
Which was like, what, 20 years ago now?
Yeah, I want to say 2004. Yeah.
Yeah, because then we had Sweeney Todd, which was like...
We've had a lot since then. We don't need to go through the whole catalog. None of it has been very good. So that's why we were apprehensive. It's like, oh no, Tim Burton. But this honestly is like, I feel like it's a big comeback for him. Like, I couldn't believe that, at the end of every episode, I was like, oh my gosh, that's right. Tim Burton made this.
Yeah. His name pops up. It's like, oh yeah. I think the TV episodic format served him really well.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And of course, the source material is very much his element already.
Yeah.
So I think it actually was a really good fit in the end. We were very pleased with the show overall. Mm-hmm. We enjoyed it a lot.
Oh, awesome. I think I'm kind of in the same boat as far as like Tim Burton goes, because I love his two Batman movies. So the Michael Keaton Batman movies, I think, are both fantastic. His Planet of the Apes was a huge stinker. You could probably be nitpicky about, I like this one from Tim Burton. I don't like this one from Tim Burton. But I guess the way I would also state it is that along with Tim Burton, I think the showrunners of Alfred Gough and Miles Millar, if I'm saying their names right, I'm a huge fan of their work. They created the show Smallville. I don't know if you ever watched that one.
That's right.
They're the creators and showrunners on Smallville. They wrote the screenplay for Spider-Man 2. So even with No Way Home being as fantastic as it was, I think certain people still argue that Spider-Man 2 is the best live action Spider-Man. So I mean,
it's
the combination of them together.
Favorites.
Yeah. I think with them serving as showrunners and then Tim Burton adding his flavor, and then if you throw in Danny Elfman's score, so all that together, I think adds for a really, really great show.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. And then of course you have Jenna Ortega, who came out of nowhere and just owned it. She was perfect as
Oh,
Wednesday
perfect.
Addams.
Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to bring up next. So, as you mentioned, Nathan, just kind of out of nowhere, even though she did have, I guess, some roles, maybe you weren't necessarily too familiar with her. Like, we watched the movie yesterday on Netflix. I don't know if you've heard of that one.
Have heard of it, have
Never
not
seen
watched
it.
it.
Yeah, Jennifer Gardner, she marries a Hispanic guy, and then Jenna Ortega plays their oldest daughter. Basically, the premise is that like for 24 hours, the kids get to do whatever they want. The parents can't say no; they have to say yes to whatever they do.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of funny.
I remember hearing about that one. That's right. Yeah.
Okay, so a few roles like that she had done, but I mean, she was really an unknown name, but then all of a sudden jumped to massive popularity. In fact, at my daughter's school, like I go there because I go to volunteer in her kindergarten class, and then all the kids are very talkative. They'll come up to me and start talking. Like they'll ask me, "Hey, have you seen Wednesday?" Apparently, all the girls from her class absolutely loved the show, and they're even trying out her dance moves, which was kind of funny to see. So I wanted, let's focus on Jenna Ortega. What did you think specifically about her performance as Wednesday?
Okay, well, first of all, let's state the obvious. I love the fact that she's actually Latina.
Mhm.
That's our first,
Yes.
Latino Wednesday. That's a big deal.
Yes, Gomez is Latin. Morticia is from unknown origins, but probably Latin too.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, Morticia's not, and
Okay.
neither is Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Okay, but we do have Gomez, obviously. So it's neat. It's neat. I'm
Anyway,
very happy
I
with
love
that.
Jenna's Ortega. I loved her deliveries. She's so cute too. Oh my gosh. And yeah, she did a fantastic job. The fact that she choreographed that dance that she did too, it's pretty cool. So I think she did wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Second everything she just said. I think that it was neat that you can tell kind of she did take some elements of um the Wednesday from the movies from the 90s, but she definitely made it her own character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, she absolutely did. Yeah. In fact, actually, that was one of the talking points I wanted to bring up also. And we'll definitely come back to Jenna Ortega, but it was really cool to see Christina Ricci on set. And it was kind of interesting to read as I was studying online. Apparently, she wasn't the first pick. Thora Birch was that supposed to play the non I guess what do you call them? Like they're not like Harry Potter, like the Muggles, but I mean they don't have like
Normie, yeah.
Normie, thank you, Normie. That's the term I was looking for. But they brought her on, which was really cool. I would have thought they would have wanted to get her from the get go, but apparently Christina Ricci and Jenna Ortega didn't really converse at all in order to kind of like make it so okay. I'm not going to give you any tips or pointers as to how you do Wednesday. You should be entirely your own thing, which I thought was pretty cool.
That's smart. I didn't know that.
No,
But that's very wise, and also that would contribute to their characters as well. Their characters were not friends necessarily, right?
Yeah.
So I've heard of actors actually, taking things beyond just in front of the camera where they actually will is it called method acting where you
I've heard that phrase. Yeah.
Actually if your enemies on screen, you're going to be enemies in real life just to make sure you have that same chemistry for the performance, and that's a good idea. That'd be hard, but it worked. Their performances were fantastic.
Yeah. And then speaking of hard too, apparently I didn't notice this. I kind of want to go back and rewatch it, but she never blinks at all during her performance.
You're
and
right.
apparently in order to
That's
make that happen,
weird.
she had to do extensive blinking when she wasn't being filmed. But in order to really get that the Wednesday character down, I guess it was Tim Burton's suggestion to not have her blink at all.
Oh my gosh. That's awesome.
That sells some of that sociopath.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, there are so many great one-liners that she said from the show. Like, I mean, again, so spoilers. I started to mention at the top of the show, spoilers, but I'm assuming everybody listening knows spoilers for all of our conversations. When they did the homage scene to Carrie, which I think both of you would have appreciated, being fans of horror, right? Like the pig blood drops from the ceiling, everyone's covered. And then she just gets disgusted over the fact, oh, you guys didn't even use real pig's blood. What's up with that?
Yeah. Yeah. And she actually gets just a little hint of a smile too, right?
Yeah.
When it starts when it starts really pouring down, everyone starts screaming. It's like, yes, she would enjoy this. Like, yes.
The chaos,
like,
the blood, the macabre.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. One other point about Jenna Ortega that I wanted to bring up. I thought this was kind of interesting when I was doing the research for this podcast. Apparently, she had vetoed a possible flash mob scene, which was going to be written into the show that the writers wanted to do. And that eventually led to the improvisation for the dance that she would do, which I thought was pretty cool and interesting that she would have that kind of pool on set. Not a lot of actors or actresses do. I guess if they become a big name and they're serving as producers, they can. But it was interesting to me to read that she actually got a whole sequence changed. And that's kind of cool too, because to be honest, I don't really like flash mobs. I think they're kind of lame and kind of dated. So
yeah,
I completely agreed. I'd much rather have the viral dance we got from her than a flash mob.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me think what else. I want to touch base on the rest of the Gomez family. So it was interesting to me that, hey, we're going to do an Addams Family show and base it entirely on Wednesday, who I by far has to be the most popular member of the Addams family at this point. But I wanted to go ahead and talk about the rest of the family. So Catherine Zeta-Jones, Luis Guzman, and Fred Armisen, who I always love. I think he's a really funny comedian playing Uncle Fester. What did you think of the parents and the uncle?
They were perfect. I think the casting was perfect. I know a lot of people had issue with Luis Guzman as Gomez because they're like, ew, he's so short and he's ugly. Gomez is supposed to be handsome and suave. And I'm like, no, go back to the comics. Look at the comics. That's exactly what Gomez is supposed to look like, you know. And that's the joke. That's the irony. Is this little short, squat, you know, kind of ugly little dude winds up with this absolute smoke show of a wife, you know. That was the joke, you know. And so he was perfect. The casting, I think, was just dead on.
Yeah, and the chemistry between them I thought was actually really spot on too, because he just obviously adores Morticia and is, you know,
worships her,
just like the movies, just like the comics. And it's just absolutely perfect. I thought they were both very well cast.
Yeah.
Awesome. And Thing was very interesting. Apparently they got a real actor to wear a blue suit, so they used his actual hand on set. And I guess they had to use I don't know what you would call that, like I guess a prosthetic, like a wrist or stub or whatever, so it would protrude out properly, so that you couldn't tell that there was actually a man wearing a blue suit behind him. I guess he's a professional magician by the name of Victor Dormonatu, if I'm saying his name right. But I think a lot of care went into the show, which was really, really cool.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, they also had a magician play thing in the movies, the 90s movies.
Oh yeah, I think so. Yeah.
They just have those, you know, those hands that can just really, you know,
a very emotive handwork.
Yeah.
And it was so impressive. Yeah, I remember we kept commenting on how good Thing looked in the show, and I think it was because so much of it was practical.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're huge fans of practical effects. That kind of brings us to like another point in the show that we didn't care for the CG as much. It could have been a lot better, but that part of it.
But Thing looks fantastic.
Thing is amazing. Yeah. And just the talent it would take to do all those finger things that they do and make it look like the right physics and movements that a disembodied hand would make, even while they're obviously using a real hand, is just really impressive to me. It's like that.
That's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then so with the story and plot that we get, I thought it was kind of interesting. As you mentioned, some of the CGI for the particular monster, I forget the name of the creature. Again, it's been a couple months since I've seen it, but
the hide.
The hide, thank you. Yeah, the hide. Yeah. The overall story arc that we got, I thought was very interesting. I like the school setting. And then obviously focusing on Wednesday and her time at school, and then, you know, her relationship with other people and how she's having to get along with them, even though she is very much deadpan with her personality, which again, like a lot of people love and gravitate towards, which is really cool. Yeah. So what did you guys think of the overall plot and like the pacing of the story that we got in the show?
Overall, I think we were really happy. The idea of kind of a murder mystery sort of thing going on that has to be solved was kind of a unique direction to take a Wednesday Addams story. We know Wednesday Addams as kind of this fish out of water character, but putting that as kind of like a side story to the main plot. I don't know. I think it was overall it was good.
I think it was good too. There is a little bit of flaw in the setting itself, though. The fact that we're putting her basically in an American version of Hogwarts, right? Nevermore Academy.
Yeah.
That was interesting because the whole point of the Addams family is the fact that they stick out, they stand out because they are around normal people, right? And then there they are, and they're not normal. Well, here you are putting her in a school with a bunch of other people who aren't normal. So it's like, so what makes her special? You know? And so what they had to do was they pretty much just portrayed everyone else as pretty dang normal. If you really think about it. Yeah, they were vampires and werewolves and sirens and stuff.
Yeah.
But they all behaved and acted and pretty normal compared to Wednesday.
Yeah.
So that was just a little
it made the conflict of the story feel a little forced because
yeah.
You've got the normies and you have the outcasts and this big divide between them, but they're all really relatively normal people. So when partway through the whole story, everyone's like, oh, you know what? It's not so bad. Now we have some normies kind of mixing with some outcast characters and hey, you know what? You're not so different and weird anyway. It's like, well, yeah, of course, you're both normal people. One of you just happens to turn into a werewolf.
No, and even Enid doesn't really turn into a werewolf not until the very end, you know.
Yeah.
So anyway, but that's really my only complaint about the setting is just that. But, yeah.
That and then the fact that Wednesday as a character craves chaos, loves when things go horribly wrong. And she is shocked and worried and scared about some of these things that happen in the show. That's like, I don't think the real Wednesday Addams would act like that.
Yeah.
For the purposes of the story, she needed to. She needed to have some emotional stake in saving the school. But like, I think in reality, the real Wednesday Addams have been like, let it burn.
No, really. And the fact that, her part of her motivation was the fact that her father, his reputation was dragged into it, and the whole, framing of Gomez kind of worked, but really, I mean, if Gomez was arrested for, on suspicion of murder for someone, they would all be like, yeah, this is awesome. Like, she would be so like,
she'd be like, my hero.
Yeah, my hero. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, I don't know. Anyway.
So, yeah, there. That was really it when we were talking about it. Those were the two big ones for us that.
Yeah,
if they couldn't fix that somehow.
Is that canonically the Wednesday we've all known, right? She would not really be the one going around trying to save the day and trying to solve the mystery and stop bad things from happening, because she would be the one causing the bad things to happen. She loves creating the chaos. I mean, she burned down a whole camp full of kids in the second movie. And just grinned the whole time and loved it. Oh, she didn't grin. That's right. But
no,
inside,
perhaps
grinning inside.
Yeah. But I mean, they kind of save it with the fact that they kind of teach her, like, you've been a loner for so long that you have to learn to live outside of yourself and make friends and connect.
Yeah, she grows.
And so the fact that she's like, okay, she has some emotional stakes because of the people around her that she has learned to, become friends with. Okay, maybe I guess she has enough of a reason to save the school from burning to the ground. Maybe she's more like, no one else is going to burn this to the ground. I'm going to burn this to the ground, not you. You don't get credit for it. I'm going to stop you.
No, those are all really excellent points. In fact, I hadn't even considered it either. So interesting points to think about. The only thing I guess I would suggest or mention, I guess, would be that this show was more of a comedy horror drama, whereas the movies were purely horror comedy. And I guess I can understand that she would need to, like you mentioned, for story-wise purposes, need to have more concern, compassion for the school and her friends that she made, but kind of just show it on the bottom, not really on the surface. I don't know. I guess that's kind of the way I would put it. But you did bring up an interesting point where she would be in that setting of the school, and they would focus mostly on her, as opposed to being like the outcast in a normal society, which is the way we've seen the Addams family portrayed up until this point. So I'm actually kind of curious then for both of you, Kimmy and Nathan, would you want to see the other family members take more of a like higher or bigger role in the show, or should we just kind of continue to focus on just Wednesday it's herself?
Oh, absolutely. I want to see the whole family. I thought that the couple episodes where they were more involved were some of the best ones.
Yeah, maybe we get to a point where Pugsley's old enough that he comes to Nevermore, and we get a little more of him in the story. Of course, Uncle Fester can just pop up whenever he dang well pleases.
No, I'd love for the whole family to be more involved for sure, because I know the show's called Wednesday. It's her show, right? But still, I love them all. So
well, I hope they can incorporate the rest of the family in. I mean, obviously, because of the huge success of the show. In fact, I didn't mention this earlier at the top of the show. It's the second most streamed English language Netflix show. I guess it's important to make that distinction because I guess the Squid Game, I don't know if you've seen or heard of that one. I guess I haven't myself, but apparently that one's just done massive ratings. So the only other English language show to do better as far as overall streams and ratings than Wednesday is, in fact, Stranger Things, which is kind of cool to think. Because of that, I mean, they've already greenlit the second season. So my guess is it will be on production soon. But of course, the writer strike going on right now is probably going to put a little wrench or delay those plans for a bit.
We won't see it till like next year sometime, I'm sure.
Yeah, if we're lucky. I really hope they don't rush anything because of the strike. I know they're rushing the current season of Stranger Things, season 5 that they're filming right now.
They're rushing that. They're also rushing Rings of Power season 2.
Oh yeah.
They're actually proceeding with production without the writers, which is going to be interesting. But
anyway,
I agree. I hope they take the time to do it right because the show itself, like, I mean, we did a lot of critique on the show, but I feel like it was still like a really fun, enjoyable ride.
We still loved it.
We still loved it. There were enough of the pieces of the mystery that we didn't piece it quite together until a little bit before things finally like were revealed. And even when some things were revealed, we're like, oh, we were only half right about that and not completely right. And so there were some interesting elements that were just really fun and really well done. And of course, the acting was good throughout, so it made it a very enjoyable show. So I really hope they take the time to do these characters and the justice and give them a story worth their time.
I hope so. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So actually, that just reminded me of something. It wasn't in my notes to bring this up, but I mean, just remembering the plot of the show, the murder mystery that you mentioned. So I guess this is the first time we're seeing Wednesday actually have like a supernatural power of some type, right? Where she can touch something and like sense like, or have like have visions of past events, which is actually kind of cool. And I would assume that's why all the students are at Nevermore, whether they're a monster of some type or they do have a special ability, which I guess is kind of cool story plot to explore for future seasons.
For sure. And at the very end we got Eugene, his special ability to be able to talk to bees. That randomly, it was Eugene, right?
I think it was Eugene.
I think so.
That randomly showed up at the very, very end. So it's like, we obviously have more than just werewolves and sirens and things like that. It'd be neat to explore, like you said, some of these other characters who have these strange powers.
No, I love it. I love the fact that we're giving, Wednesday and Morticia abilities. It makes sense. Morticia in the comics and in the films is very much, I don't know if she's ever called a witch, but it's very witchy, right? And so and that reminds me, I'd love if they had Grandma Adams in the next season. I love Grandma Adams so much.
Yeah, that'd be really fun.
I'd be curious to see what Gomez's special abilities or monsterness is.
Yeah, we were wondering,
he was at Nevermore.
Why is Gomez there? What's his ability?
So I don't know. Maybe his Gomez ability is that he just is really good at certain things. He picks like up a sword and all of a sudden he just is a swordsman.
That could be cool.
He picks something else up and he's just really good at it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. He starts dancing and he's an amazing dancer.
And that would account for the movies for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And then other family members we haven't seen yet, Cousin It. So we'll see if they incorporate Cousin It in some capacity.
Yes, Cousin It. I could use like 200% more Lurch also.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we need more Lurch for sure. Yeah.
Oh, very cool. Yeah. So I absolutely agree with you. I loved the show. I thought it was fantastic. It was funny. It was the right amount of spooky. And apparently it's just a huge cultural hit. So much so that my friends' daughters, who are like, 6 years old, they love it too. So which is kind of crazy,
awesome.
crazy thing. Yeah. That was all the talking points I had though. Were there anything else from Wednesday you wanted to bring up or discuss?
I just wanted to bring up that since the 90s films, we have had not much by way of content, right, for the Addams Family before this show, but there was the musical that came out, the Addams Family musical. I think it came out maybe, oh gosh, I don't even know, 2012, 2013.
Yeah, early.
And it had just a short little life on Broadway, and then it kind of just faded into the background. We had the opportunity to see it though, because our community theater here in town was doing a production of it.
Oh, cool.
This past October. So I was like, yeah, well, we went to go see it. We brought Teddy and everything. And it was, if anyone from this community theater performance is watching, you guys did great. However, the material, oh my gosh, it was so bad. Like everyone was out of character, and it was just
especially Wednesday.
She was so out of character. The whole joke, her whole arc in the musical is that she starts to want to be more normal. She starts to try to be normal, and wants to go to, she says at one of the lyrics at one point, it's like, I want to go to Disneyland, and all that.
She walks on stage wearing a yellow dress at one point, and everyone stares at her aghast.
No, she would not. She would not, and just anyway. And Morticia was way out of character and just was anyway. So coming out of seeing that musical and then getting this show in November, like just a few weeks later, it was just such a relief and a fresh breath of fresh air. Like, oh, this is good content that we want for the Addams Family.
And it was even at the point where it was like, Kimmy started watching it first, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll wait. And then she told me, no, you need to watch this. You need to catch up. So then I caught up and we finished watching it together.
Yeah.
It was a relief for it, after all of the concerns that we could have had about it, for it to turn out as good as it did.
The only moment that I had real beef with was the rooftop sword fight with Gomez, Morticia, and what was his name? The crazy guy that was obsessed with Morticia, right?
Yeah.
They're acting scared, like we were fighting for our lives, and it's so dramatic. And I was like, no, Gomez and Morticia would be so into that. Oh my gosh, can you imagine, like, Gomez fighting off a crazy murderer that's trying to get to his beloved? Like, they would just be in their element and they'd be thrilled to be in that situation, and the fact that they were so scared, I was just like, okay, fine.
Maybe it was their first time having a sword fight out in the rain on the rooftops.
Right. Okay. Sure. Anyway.
But now it's this big romantical thing for them. Like, this is how we met.
Yeah. That's honestly my only other thoughts was just thank heavens we got Wednesday, because the musical is terrible, and and just that Gomez and Morticia would have had a lot more fun with that fight than they did in the show.
I just remembered, I think a few years ago there was an animated Addams Family movie, right, from Illumination Studios, the same people who did.
Gosh, I see.
That's right. There were two of those. There were two.
Yeah, I never saw either of them, so I don't know if they were any good.
Me neither.
But, yeah,
I know that the reviews weren't fantastic, but I mean, it's probably up there around like the Minion movie type stuff, where it's just it's Saturday morning cartoon feature length.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's like sugary popcorn content, but nothing else.
Yeah, I never even saw it. which says a lot because I love the Addams Family.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I any content, it's like, oh yes, please. But that I just
probably just felt like Hotel Transylvania 5.
I don't know. Yeah.
I have no idea either.
No idea. Yeah, never saw it.
Oh, okay. Well, you're right. I mean, it could have easily gone the other way, where the producers might have just said, you know what, I don't know if we need to do any more Addams Family content, but they saw something. They saw something in Jenna Ortega, which is pretty cool, and the concept of focusing on Wednesday. So again, I'm happy with the show we got. I thought it was really fun, and I'm excited to see more. So
yeah. Last thought. I'm sad that Gwendolyn Christie is not going to be in season 2.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
she was so great.
Her death was kind of pointless. It was unfortunate.
I understand if they needed to kill her off, but like at least have her die maybe defending Wednesday or just something other than just what was it? How'd she die again?
She pretty much just
the
got
needle in the neck.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It was just like, okay, that was way too easy.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, so they'll be looking for a new headmistress, which would be pretty cool, and see who they get.
Yes, that would be interesting. That's true.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. Our hopes for season 2 are pretty high.
Yeah.
I think we're hoping for a little bit of a stronger story.
Mm-hmm.
And then, some fun new characters, obviously continue to flesh out the characters that we know and give us a little bit more on the Addams Family.
Yeah, as long as they don't rush it, just take your time. Do it right. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, this was really fun. Thank you for joining me to talk about the show. I mean, I love just getting together and talk shows with you guys. It's really fun and exciting for me. And again, yeah, for anyone else who's on the fence or just hasn't jumped onto the party yet, Wednesday is definitely worth checking out. So if you haven't seen it, go see it. I mean, I'm assuming you have seen it. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't have been listening to this episode.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, we didn't even spoil the big twist in this whole show. About it tonight.
Yeah.
So I guess, if you have listened to it to this point, might as well go enjoy it.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah. Very cool. Okay, well, if there's nothing else for tonight, Kimmy, Nathan, thank you so much for joining me. I can't wait to do this again sometime. And I hope you guys have a great night.
Thank you. You too. Thanks for having us.
Oh, you're welcome. Okay, so you've been listening to the Captain for Fun podcast. Thanks, everybody.